busts through the biggest bear market resistance of this entire 4-year cycle. Bear boys are left completely destroyed as the arrows that they drew showing a massive dump all the way to $10,000 turned out to be even less reliable than their own mother's love and affection towards them. And after looking at these charts, I simply can't believe what I'm about to say. Right now, the Bitcoin meme boys have absolutely gargled, chewed up, and spit out the baby bears like something we haven't seen in a very, very long time. As the single biggest resistance of this entire bear to bull market cycle has been concretely busted through for the biggest and first time in well over a year. What does this mean now? Does this mean absolute pumpage, gainers only confirmed? Well, there are a few things we have to talk about first, but I mean, if we just take a step back and look at everything that's happened over the past 48 hours, it's very clear what direction this market is trending. The entirety of 2023 has been one direction. It's been up, right? There has been a lot of sideways mixed in there, but there has not been any significant lower lows as the perma bears would love for you to believe. So these charts are absolutely remarkable. But let's take a look at this first. So Mags the Scalping Pro on Twitter just charting a very simple trajectory for Bitcoin, especially as we potentially see a Bitcoin spot ETF approval or Bitcoin spot ETF approvals coming very shortly here. Very reminiscent of the previous cycles for Bitcoin, where there is, again, I've talked about this before, there was a multi-month period where Bitcoin had only a few red weeks out of multiple months where it basically just floated to the upside. And that is usually even more towards the beginning of the bust because, you know, I'll take you back. I was here for this. People were not, I mean, I was, and a lot of people on YouTube, but the most people like just watching and getting interested in the space, this was not where most excitement was, right? Your granny, your grandma, grandpa, and grandma were not texting you back here. They were texting you here and here and here. So this, a lot of people weren't even calling this a bull market. And then very shortly after, it was just gainers after gainers after gainers. And then we spent like a year kind of doing dumpiness and sideways, but that was still technically a bull market. So most of those massive gainers happened pretty much at the beginning of what people would consider a bull market. So what does that mean now? Well, if we see something similar now, let's say we're in a very similar spot to somewhere back here. Let's say maybe we get a little dump here to 30K or something over the next couple of weeks or whatever. I think there will be a retest of 30K, absolutely. But let's say most of the gains are actually in, you know, let's say this box is the bull market. And what if most of the gains are kind of in this side of the box? That's historically accurate. That is historically what has happened. So basically, most people still don't care about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is pumped up a couple $1,000s, and granted, a lot of new people are, a lot of returning people are back. But overall, is there a lot of new people in the space? No, absolutely not. If Bitcoin went up to 40, 45K over the next couple of weeks, we would start to see that start to ramp up. We see Bitcoin go to 60K, 70K, then that's when Granny and Grandpa and everybody from around the block is going to start saying, hey, have you heard about Bitcoin? Maybe we should buy in, stuff like that. And that's not when you want to be buying in, right? That's a little thing people in industry like to call buying the top. Crazy. Although with Bitcoin spot ETFs getting in, you know, will it be up top that soon? Will there be trillions of dollars of inflows that kind of just, you know, leave everyone completely flabbergasted and zoinked? It's possible. But yeah, absolutely gigantic. So Will Clemente also talking about this. There's a good chance the actual ETF listing is a short-term sell the news event. But with Bitcoin reclaiming this 2021 to 2022 range, this is now the setup over the next year. Invalidation is a weekly close back below the range. Basically holding 30K at this point is the big test, staying above 30K. And it's very obvious why. We spent so much time getting rejected right here at 30K. And now if we can get above here, spend a few weeks kind of above here and holding that as support, that is what we want to see. But this was absolutely a very exciting first break above it. It's possible we see some sideways and some trading trying to hold 30K, because I mean, this entire 30K range is so important. So we cannot expect Bitcoin to just do this, though. Let's be realistic. It's not just going to do this. You know, maybe something like this, maybe something like something around 30K is very likely. And even though the excitement is back, I think it's, at least for a lot of us, I think it's important to remember holding support as 30K is the most important thing. Altcoins also will start to catch up at a certain point. Will also talking about traditional finance being back with CME futures open interest up over a yard in the last week. So we see that kind of spiking massively as well. Open interest on CME exchanges tops 100,000 Bitcoin for the first time in history. Retail investors' interest is surging. And you guys remember a couple of years ago during the last bull market, a lot of people, a lot of new people, a lot of retail, and even the very beginnings of institutions and Elon Musk and Michael Saylor, all those people started getting interested. This time it's going to be crazy because people have already been introduced to crypto. The masses have already had at least, most people now know the word crypto. Most people now know the word Bitcoin, even if that's all they know. They might not know much else, but at least they've heard of Bitcoin, and most people have heard of crypto. Because when I got into crypto, most people didn't know that. They're like, what's crypto? What's Bitcoin? What's this? Now we're at a spot on the planet where most people are at least aware of it. And it's going to be that a lot of people even know how to buy it. Even if they haven't bought it, they know of like Coinbase, they know of Binance, they know of different avenues where they can obtain it. And so the on-ramps are a little easier. And yeah, I think that once this cycle starts picking up again, and once people realize, wow, Bitcoin's actually back again, it didn't die again, might as well invest in it again, because people are going to do that. Once that happens, it's going to happen very, very, very quickly. And the most important factor, which everyone keeps talking about, which is obviously the most important thing, is that institutional, billions, trillions of dollars, that's going to pump the price. Not just Jimmy and John down the street, with their $20, although that's very helpful as well. We have every angle being attacked, every angle wanting in, and especially as the FOMO really kicks in. Because that's another thing to highlight. Let's take a look at this. So with that being said, is everyone very bullish right now? Not necessarily. 60,000 people in Capo's trading group that are still short and strong, apparently. He has, there's no way there's this many people that are delusional, but there's 60,000 subscribers to this TA. This guy has been wrong for the past year, and I think the worst thing you can be as a trader or investor is to just completely deny reality. Because if things, let's say you think it's going to go down and then it keeps going up and up and up and up, it's not something honorable or respectable to be stubborn. Because that's one thing that I see in like comments where like people are just really bearish all the time and they just keep being bearish even though the price is going up. And I'll read comments under the things being like, hey, mad props for staying consistent. That's the silliest thing I've ever heard. So you're just stubborn when you're wrong? Like that's something a baby can do, right? Like a 5-year-old is stubborn when they're wrong. Why would you respect someone for being wrong and then not changing their opinion and then continuing to be wrong? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You have to do mental gymnastics to think that's respectable. Like absolutely that's not respectable. That's silly. That's baby talk. Anyway, so looking at Bitcoin on the daily chart, now very big confirmed bullish cross, 21 going above the 200-day. 50 is slowly following behind. We see a lot of momentum on the daily chart for Bitcoin, clearly. Weekly chart is more important, though. We've actually just flipped bullish on the weekly chart with this momentum as well. We see a very, very, very massive cross slowly starting to inch up here. It's the 50 going back above the 200 week. We're still pretty far off from that, but it is getting closer. All the while, though, we do want to watch the stock market, which is struggling. The SPX is struggling. DXY is still kind of trading sideways. It had a little bit of a bounce so far today, but nothing significant. Again, I'm honestly, we've had a massive pump. If we have a pullback over the next couple of days, if we come down to 30K, oh my gosh, that's not bearish. That is not bearish. Although you will see the bear boys start calling for 10K again as soon as we go down like $2,000, as always. They've been doing that the entire year, actually. And you see what's happened the entire year. But really zooming out, all these macro patterns are still in play. Basically, as I said back in May, when we got this bullish flip on the monthly chart, the 30-day chart for Bitcoin, momentum has continued to the upside. It took a little bit. I mean, we took some sideways and some boring price ranging between like 30 and 25K. But ultimately, again, if this signal ends up being completely accurate, where we kind of just do what we've always done on these long-term charts, where we have this following the MACD as well, it's the most obvious play. And if it ends up being right, it's almost, it's too obvious, but it doesn't mean it can't happen. In fact, it's always happened. Yeah, this chart is probably my favorite to look at. 30K is just huge. It's the main thing we want to watch. There is zero chance, I think, that we don't get a retest of 30K, meaning I think we will have to retest 30K. We might have to go even a little bit below 30K in some quick wicks, in a couple daily candles or something like that, as we try to cement this flip, this 2-year-long resistance. This is huge. We can't underestimate how big this resistance is. 30K is massive. Above 30K, there is not much more really holding Bitcoin down. So we can't take it for granted that we're above 30K. It's absolutely insane that we're here. But we have to keep in mind that we have to basically retest 30K, in my opinion. Doesn't mean we can't keep pumping up for now, but I think that over the next couple of weeks, there's going to be a resurgence of really bearish narrative. This was the final pump. Now we're going to 10K. Okay, we've already heard that like 4 different times this year. But here we have this double bottom pattern that we've been talking about. Absolutely gave us new highs. Completely shattered the highs from July of 2023. And yeah, we have some nice green candles. We have a lot of altcoins slowly starting to get some life back in them, but they have so much room to go. There is so much pumping they have to do to catch up. But ultimately, yeah, it's really nice seeing this huge milestone after an entire year of pretty constructive price action for Bitcoin. Now we finally actually have a yearly new high, but more so breaking all this structure. There's no head and shoulders pattern that a lot of people were even saying was possible yesterday. I posted a video yesterday and there were multiple comments being like, actually, this is actually a giant head and shoulders pattern, don't you think? It's going to crash down. Well, now that we've just busted up about $5,000 above that, I think they realize, no, it's not a head and shoulders pattern. And take advantage of massive trading and sign up bonuses. If you're interested in trading, longing or shorting the market, you can use the links below with Femex or BitGet. If you sign up with my link to Femex, it takes 30 seconds. You also earn free XPT when you trade anything. Yeah, so BitGet and Femex below takes 30 seconds to sign up. Without any further ado,